Hello, my name is Evie and welcome back to Overwatch Everyday. This is a series where I play 1 to 5 ranked games each day, explaining my thought process that gets me up to champ on all roles throughout the video. In today's video, we play the widest variety of heroes we possibly could have played, I think, on the series, and we went on a dominant win streak throughout, playing heroes like Vendetta, Reaper, Tracer, Genji, Torbjorn, and Pharah to continue our win streak, climbing us up to Grandmaster on our account. So, with that out of the way, let's get into the video. Loading into this next game here. Vendetta angle here. I could try some Vendetta. Vendetta would not be bad here. I do think Vendetta is in a slightly weaker spot, but I'll give it a whirl. The idea behind the Vendetta is that we're going to be playing in fairly close quarters and brawly, with our backline being quite safe and sustainable on this. I could just counter swap Navili, that'd be funny. With them sort of taking angles, I just want to be chilling. I want to make sure that I'm postured in a way that we'll be getting onto their backline when we need to. Since they have a Venture, it's going to be a little bit scarier as their Winston goes to force us out. I was trying to time my hit with our Doomfist engage, but I will be a little bit late in doing so, and I'm not going to be able to find as much value as I really wanted there. I think that I was misusing my fire strikes as well. I could have been using my fire strikes a lot more generously in this sort of poke phase. See if I'm able to force out. Oh my gosh, okay, I'm swapping. Tracer's banned, Genji's banned. I'm sorry, I don't think that I'm capable of playing Vendetta that well here, or well enough to win, especially since we swapped onto the Wu Yang. So I'm going to be playing a different hero. I'm wondering which one that might be. Reaper could be fine. Not even just because Winston is in the game. A lot of people actually I think that people overvalue Reaper as a Winston counter, which I actually think a good Winston doesn't interact with a Reaper that much. I think it's very hard to properly counter Winston as Reaper. You'll just be punishing Winston's mistakes a little bit easier. With that Genji on left side, I want to be looking for pressure onto this Zenyatta, but as our team is sort of fighting, we see their Winston jump, so that will be a mistake since they're walking into our team. So we're able to walk forward and just force Primal Rage. And as our Wu Yang gets low, the Genji wants to step onto our Cassidy, deflect gets forced, and now we can take this white room. As their Dragon Blade comes out, I'm looking for any trade onto their backline that I can find. And we will be going down in the process. Kind of a very rough start to this game. I think that we didn't do nearly enough on Vendetta as we needed to, and I think that it'll be very hard to get a touch here and get any of our ultimates out since we don't have that much mobility. Maybe our Doomfist gets it. Our Doomfist is able to get the touch, which will enable us to find the kill onto their Venture. Reaper, whoa, my game. I dropped a lot of frames there. But we can find the flip onto the point and bait their Winston into our team with our Fade and then TPing into our white room. If their Winston went to point, that probably would have been a little bit harder for us to deal with, but I think that now that we have a little bit of our footing, the game is going to get a good bit easier. So I'm going to be trying to play closer to this corner as this is more into my effective range. And as soon as we get fairly low, it's going to be time for us to back up and stabilize. As their Zenyatta walks up, I'm going to be looking for a play here. Unfortunately, I'm going to be way out of my range. It would have been better if I faded forward more. And then actually use my ultimate. So a very rough start to this game. I think that I just kind of didn't get enough value on Vendetta, and not to the fault of the hero whatsoever. I think that I was just playing it quite poorly. Maybe a little bit too rusty. Maybe I need to brush up on the hero a bit beforehand. Oh, That's why. Bang. Alright, and now I have the right music playing, and now we're good. So looking at our team comp here, we have a Doomfist, Cassidy, Kiriko, Brigitte. Reaper's still going to be very, very strong here. Pharah might be good as well. I think that I am going to be sticking a little bit more towards like this ground flex DPS direction, though. I think that the Reaper is going to be pretty good. I wanted to see if I could TP my team out to get to the point a little bit quicker. But we'll be a little bit late here because of that. So Winston falls low HP. I'm going to be immediately turning to the point to see if I can find the kill on the Genji, and we are successful in doing so. Winston finds the step onto our Kiriko, but they'll be going down very shortly after. Main thing that I want to be thinking about as Reaper is where can I play that will let me shoot them with the best effective range. So I want to be close to my targets. I want to be sort of able to pump in as much damage as possible with my shotguns, which are only going to be doing real damage at close range. So I want to be positioning myself on areas that will enable me to do so. As I hear them walking this close right side, I'm going to start walking towards that right. Even though their Zen is on that far left, they're going to find a Discord and angle onto us, but that just means that we can back up since that position is going to be much harder for us. Cassie is walking inside of our space here, and I'm going to be actually walking towards my Cassie. As they're low, there's a high chance that somebody might try to follow up and look for a dive onto my Cassie, and it will be the case that Winston will walk into our effective range. I'm trying to greed my Wraith here, and I'm playing towards my Cassie again, sort of acting as like a secondary brig, because if they ever want to be jumping towards us, they'll have to deal with our range very, very soon afterwards. I'm going to be taking this left side though, since our team is speccing a lot into that right lane. I'm going to be just trying to deny this angle that our team would kind of fall over to. And now this is going to be putting us in a pretty rough spot though. Even though we were able to peel two people's attention and their Hanzo and Zen were looking at us, for the most part our team will be going down on the right side. It happens sometimes. Very a-okay. Really wish that Tracer wasn't banned. Tracer would be really good here. But Reaper will be more than enough to actually win and find the value that we need to find. So our Doomfist is getting a little bit low on the point. We see their Winston and their Hanzo on that right side. So I'm just going to be chilling and waiting to see how the point actually develops here. I'm going to see if I can walk up and fight anything for free. As their Winston and their Hanzo are looking to force us out, I'm going to be backing up and TPing into our rush. And we are able to find the kill onto the Cassidy using the faster fire rate from our rush. And we will find the Kiriko shortly after as well. Main thing that I'm thinking about is that I want to be playing and finding locations that are closed and in close range. That will deny the longer range aspects of their team comp, so my team is actually able to play the game and frag out how they want to. So as this Kiriko TPs to their Hanzo, I'm going to be using that as an opportunity to actually use my Death Blossom and clean up the rest of their team. And we will be winning that point and turning it around into our favor. I'm really upset that I wasn't able to get the value that I wanted to on Vendetta. I think that it was just kind of... something frazzled me in that first round. I don't know exactly what, but I just wasn't able to sort of think through my gameplay on Vendetta as clearly as I wanted to. Thinking about how we want to be playing for this next game, at this next point, I think that Reaper still will be definitely fine. Since our team didn't really want to TP out last time, I'm just going to be walking out with them so to make sure that I'm not in a bad spot early. As our team wants to be fighting towards that right side, this left area is going to be a pretty hard and important spot to retake later. So I'm going to be taking it initially. Their Hanzo hacks the health pack, so we're not going to be able to reliably kite towards it. And they will be winning that 1v1 based off of that, finding early healing from the health pack. But our Doomfist is able to trade us out, and we will be maybe turning this fight around. Another amazing kill from our Doomfist onto the Kiriko, and our Brigitte and Kiriko end up on the point. It might allow us to sort of brawl onto the point later ourselves, but our Doomfist is just going to be clutching this fight up. Really awesome to see. As our Hanzo sort of looks at us, I'm going to just be TPing into this closed space, which will help us later with our value. I think I might even TP to this high ground, which will take me a little bit closer to the primary choke that we want to be playing towards. But as there are 3 people that are looking at us, it's going to be a really hard fight. So I'm just not going to fight the hard fight, and I'm going to instead look to fight elsewhere. Zenyatta had their orbs charged up, and their Winston's looking to bubble me off and blow me up. Unfortunately, I think that was a fairly bad step. I thought that their team was walking more towards the coast, and if they were on the coast area, then it would have been... Ooh! Oh, wait, our Doomfist is crazy. If they were more on, like, their coast area towards, like, the sort of, like, pit on the map, it would have enabled me to fight that Hanzo, who would have been alone on main, but I misjudged the situation, and they would all be stacked a bit more towards that main area. And we will be going down very shortly afterwards. I think that I'm playing a little bit too aggressively here, and I should be looking for plays after they take their angles and their space. So I can be playing a little bit more patient once we have the control of the point. I think that we don't need to be doing as much. Our Brig is getting juggled, but our team is able to find some kills, so I'm just going to be stacking on my backline, making it hard for their Winston to do what they want to do. And Winston's 1 HP inside of our team space, and they will be cleaning that up. I think that I'm definitely I was trying to do a few too many solo plays, playing a bit too much like a Tracer, when I should just be trying to play stack on my team, brawl things out when I can, like a Reaper should do. So with that in mind, I think that I'll be leaning a bit towards our main and our coast area, and I can be looking for my teleport plays later to actually fight the fight that we would need to play for. So Kiriko's main, Ramatra is as well. I'm going to be chilling, and now it might be time for us to go for some sort of play. I'd like to see Suzu out before I go for a Death Blossom, but I was going to be chilling, or I was going to be pressured to actually fight that a little bit too early, which will be a-okay. They used a few ultimates there. They used their Rush, they used their Transcendence, if I remember correctly. They don't quite have their EMP yet, but they are going to be closing on their Noon yet again. Walking down our Cassidy, I want to be trying to help this the best that I can, so I TP'd over, took a bit of attention off of our Cassidy, and we are going to be able to trade out their tank once ours goes down. So it's going to be important for our team to actually walk into the space that's closed for us and force them into our effective range. And so we walk through this right side, and now we're able to take the point back. As the Cassidy falls 1 HP, I'm going to look for a TP to clean that up, and now it's time for us to just brawl on the point, exchange our raw numbers with the enemy. As Doomfist walks into our rallying Brig on the point, we will be winning this game. Okay, I don't know what had me so frazzled at the start, but I think that we made the right adjustments. We were able to play a lot more for our brawl once we swapped to the Reaper, and we were able to just sort of like clean up everybody inside of us, and we will win that game. Our Doomfist definitely did a lot and clutched up in quite a few fights that might have been difficult otherwise. But that's a huge dub for us. Hi, Shrek. So, thinking about our next game, I'm wondering what kind of heroes I might want to try to incorporate. I'd like to talk about, if we get like a chance, I still haven't played Junkrat on the series, but I also would like to try to play some Mei eventually. We have not played Junkrat or Torbjorn yet on the series, but I think that we've covered every other hero, at least in some video. I'd like to play a little bit of Echo too. Oh, I probably haven't played Sombra, but I'm not actually that good at Sombra. Navilia on our team now. For context, that's my team's support. That's my team's flex support player. So that's like one of the people who I'm working with to try to climb up to OWCS. That's why they teabagged me in the last game. Did I try Sombra? No, I did not think I tried Sombra yet on the series, though Sombra is one of my worst DPS, I think. So I don't know how educational I can actually make a Sombra video, but if we're up around or so, I could give Sombra a whirl. I know what she does and how to play her. I just literally have like no time actually like practicing the execution of her playstyle. Also, thank you for the follow, Pip VVS. Could we get the replay code for this match? I've been thinking about that. I actually thought about it when I first started this series. I was thinking about like posting the replay codes in every like description of the video, but yeah, I think I can do that. I'll get you the replay code after this game. I'll try to remember. What is my main role? I've played quite a few. I can play every role at a very high level. But I'm most known and have the most time on tank, probably, followed very shortly after by support. My tank was like this season or last season, it was like GM or Champ 3, like 90%. My support's Champ 4, 90%. My DPS is like Champ 5, like 50%. I'm thinking that I'm going to be leaning into Genji a bit here with this composition. Genji will enable me to follow up on a lot of the plays that my Mago would want to make, as well as sort of buffer and support the areas around my Alari to help them shoot. As I see there, Genji Lucio on right side. My Cassie wants to be fighting that, but my Mago is going to be alone on that left side. So I'm going to be going over to help my Mago with this fight and putting some damage onto their hog, trying to block the hook for my Maga and maintaining the space over here. But as we fall low, I'm just going to be getting out. The Roadhog is going to be chasing me and finding the hook, but that will enable my Maga to run free and find the kill onto that Baptiste, which is going to be a very good trade for us. Since I gave them a choice, I forced them to follow me and find the kill onto me, which would enable our Maga to walk onto their backline. Or they could just try to buffer my Maga and let me stabilize so we can get another hit later. It's going to be a difficult choice for them. But generally, Maga into Roadhog is going to be a pretty hard matchup. My Maga goes in, so I'm going to be helping out with this fight the best that I can. And we are going to find the kill into the Lucio, but they do find our Lari and the Cassie in the process. So with that, we really want to be contesting that Sojourn, and we're going to find a nice kill onto them. Oh, I really wanted someone to shoot my deflect. But unfortunately we will be going down there. Good kill onto the Sojourn, but unfortunately we're not able to find the kill onto the Baptiste that we really needed to win that fight, and the rest of our team would go down before that. So thinking about this next point, we see our Maga on the low ground and the Sojourn on high. I want to be ready to contest the Sojourn in the mid fight, as if I'm denying them from getting their value, it will enable a lot of my team to actually shoot and fight who they need to. Our Maga is getting absolutely exploded here. Using whole hog window to try and blow up our Maga's cage. A trade onto the Sojourn though, and this is going to probably be our last fight. I'm going to see if I can get my ring speed. Their Genji did get the beat, so now we just want to be chilling. I can be poking out their Genji the best that I can, and they will be going down in the process, not before they... or not before they find our Juno, unfortunately, which will be putting us in a really rough spot for this next fight, as that's going to be our primary healer. If they walk up early, it's going to mean that we are in a bad spot, so I need to be playing in a fairly aggressive position, ready to step onto their backline or take an early fight or early 1v1 to sort of make up for the fact that we are down one of our main supports. But with them C9ing and not touching the point in time, it will mean that we will be in a pretty decent spot. So I'm going to make sure that I'm kiting inside of my support LOS here. And we will clean up the rest of their team. Lucio gets out, unfortunately, but with that Lucio walking away towards the point, we'll just be able to get the first cap on this point, I think fairly free, unless they go for an early contest. We see their Roadhog fighting up, which is going to make it a little bit hard for us. Hook comes out onto us, but we are able to find the deflect to block it. Our Maga's still fighting, so I want to be supporting this however I can. And I hear the Genji on left, so I'm just going to go to mark that and enable my Alari to shoot main. Since if their Genji got onto our Alari, it would be really rough for us later. But we are able to clean up the rest of their team fairly convincingly. I love the ragdolls in this game. We have our Blade and our Sun. I think that we might be trying to go more aggressively onto their team here. As the Roadhog's 1 HP, I really want to see if I could clean that up, but we do force the lamp out with our Blade. As they're walking up this right side area, I was hoping to see if I could sort of bait their Roadhog to miss their hook or not be able to find the hook onto me, but they do... Oh, they heard me. Wow, crazy ears. I think usually wall climb is very difficult to hear. It's usually a quieter noise for Kiriko and Genji, but the Roadhog was able to catch it out and find the hook onto us, or put their crosshair positioning into a place that will make it very easy to hit the hook onto us. But I think that the Genji's finding a lot of value. They do end up swapping off of the Roadhog onto Junker Queen here. Junker Queen's going to be a very fine swap for them. I don't think that changes too much about what we want to be playing for. Just means that we're able to sort of contest their backline a little bit more and potentially blow up their team or their tank a little bit easier in the late fight. With their team walking, we don't necessarily want to be committing too much since they're all really stacked together. It's going to be really hard to find any big value. But as their Junker Queen walks up, we just want to be stalling for time to get our Maga back into this fight. And as our Maga is back in this fight, we can be looking for a play. A really nice roll from their Cassie will make that fight very, very close. But we are able to find that kill. I'm going to just be playing around this mini area and then see if I can posture and stage in a way to maybe spawn camp this Cassie. As Lucio is going back to get them, I don't really want to fight that 1v2, so I'm going to be leaning back a little bit, trying to see if I can exploit any weak areas. As I know that there are 2 people in their spawn right now, it'll mean that there's going to be less people towards our front line, which maybe is a chance that I can exploit. So Junker Queen goes onto our back line. Our Maga finds a cage onto their Lucio, but I'm able to find a kill onto their Baptiste. Junker Queen's very low inside of our space, so I'm going to be backing up. Since I have my deflect still, they're not going to be that much of a threat to us, so we can just back up for their Junker Queen and blow them up. I think very, very good game so far. We're playing this decently well on the Genji, and our mechanics still feel pretty good. With our Maga going in, I have my Blade. I'm going to be using it, I think, a little bit later, and I'm going to be taking an off angle here to see if I can take out anyone, but unfortunately the Baptiste lamp will stop our sort of reckoning in their back line, though we do have our blade for this next fight. I could have maybe potentially popped my blade there, but as I got antied by the Junker Queen, we weren't able to get the lifesteal perk from our... I think I'm too late to get touched. Unfortunately, we will be giving up that point, but we can still look for any kills onto their backline, potentially clip farm a little bit as we wait for the next point to unlock, and we force out 2 massive ultimates from them and still find the kill onto the Sojourn. So they just use their window and their high noon, which will let us retake this next point much easier. Going for those aggressive fights even after you potentially like lost is really strong to threaten out ults. Just making sure that you don't use your own in the meantime so that you're actually able to get more value out of your ultimates at the right time later. But if you can scare them into thinking that they might lose their advantage, it can be really good. So I'm going to be opening this fight here with my blade, but as they use their beat, I'm just going to be backing up since there's not going to be any real kills that I can find after they pop their beat. So I'm going to turn around and miss all my shots onto the Junker Queen, but with their Lucio going in, I think that we will still be allowed to go for that play. I'm going to be stepping onto the Sojourn a bit. Want to steal the mini away from them. And we're not able to find that kill quite, but that's going to be a-okay. Main thing that we really want to be considering as Genji in these fights is since our team wants to be kind of like brawling and duking it out as well as like shooting a lot, as our Wu Ying wants to be just pumping in damage over the course of time, same with our Cassidy, and our Juno wants to be uncontested, a little bit more so than their Baptiste and Lucio. We want to be marking out any like huge threats from their team. So Junker Queen ult comes out from our Junker Queen, and we're going to follow up on it onto the Baptiste, and then getting away from the Junker Queen, baiting out their axe, which will enable a very positive fight for our Queen a little bit later. Finding some damage onto their squishies. Looking at where my Junker Queen stage means that we probably... Oh, wow. We want to be putting ourselves in a spot that's ready to follow up on it, but as they walk towards us on the left side, it's going to make it harder to do so. With their Cassidy falling low, we want to look for a dash to clean that up. But their Baptiste is unfortunately going to be able to take an angle onto us. Our Juno is using their Ray, and their Baptiste is using Lamp. So we are going to be able to find those kills, but Bubble comes out onto our Cassidy on point. We might be able to win that brawl, but nonetheless, since we found those kills in the spawn, once we turn around for the point, it's going to mean that things are looking up and in our favor, but we need to turn around for the point to do that, or for that to be the case first. Since our Junker Queen is fighting now, it's time for us to get active, but their Baptiste is going to find a really nice burst onto us, and I think that we just kind of fall over there. We stayed in their spawn a little bit too long there, but alas, these things happen. Kind of outside of our control, and maybe I could have been a little bit more chill and went back to the point instead of fighting up towards their spawn with our Junker Queen. But it looks like our Cassie is going to frag out, and we will get this flip back. I'm very close on my blade, and they use their beat, which is going to be the main thing that can stop our blade. So as long as I don't die here, I think we'll be in a pretty good spot. Popping my blade to make sure that their Lucio is not able to do anything fancy or potentially win the 1v1 against us, and we will be winning this game 3-1. Ending 22-6. I think that while we didn't actually find like crazy amounts of frags throughout that game, we found some pretty nice ones and some very valuable frags in the mid fights, finding our ways onto the Baptiste and the Sojourn a lot in the as our team started brawling, to enable them to just sort of like exchange with the enemy teams very freely and win that game. So getting back our winning trend, getting up to Masters 1, 79%. Still a gold on our Genji though, which is that's okay. What is the role I enjoy playing the most? I really love all of the roles. I adore playing all the roles in this game. The one that I enjoy the most? I'm not sure. I really love. I just love. I don't know if I could exactly pick one, and I try my best, like, not to pick one. I try to be good at everything to potentially allow myself to compete on every role. But I am just most known for my tank, so I end up playing that the most. There's just benefits to like all of them. It's kind of based off the mood. I'm a very ambitious and greedy person. I want it all, and I want to be good. And I want to be really, really good at every role. So I work hard to do so. I think maybe support. If I had to pick one, it might be support. I really enjoy playing support, and support has some of my favorite heroes to play. I think Lucio is just low-key one of the most fun in the game. Like, one of the most fun heroes in the game. I just really like support, I think. There's a cultural thing of in the competitive scene where people are very unwilling to sort of like accept any like role swaps or changes or anyone like off rolling. So since I'm known for my tank, I'm kind of like shoved in that box a bit, even though I've competed and I played in contenders on support back in Overwatch, early Overwatch 2, and I've competed in Face of Masters, which is basically similar to contenders in I'll try this for a little. Actually, yeah, I'll try Anran for a second. I've been grinding quite a bit of Anran recently off stream. And I've been having so much fun with them. I do not think Anran is the best hero. I'm going to be so for real. I do not think Anran is very good. But they're really, really, really fun. Giving our Kiriko TP, I just want to be holding this hotel area. And as their Junker Queen gets set on fire, Suzu will be forced for the enemy team. And we just want to be kind of rolling through and chilling. Main thing that we want to be focusing on here is trying to enable some times for us to get our fire off. And now that their Kiriko is burning, we want to be kind of staring at their Junker Queen a little bit, putting some damage in, enabling our Orisa the best that we can. Junker Queen's super 1 HP and probably going onto this high ground, so I'm going to be taking an angle over here. See if I can set fire to this Kiriko, and I'm walking up a little bit as I have my dash back. But Suzu will be coming out, and we will be going down shortly after to that cat and the Kiriko. I think that Anran can be played here. Do I want to make it harder for myself? A little bit. I'll try Anran for a little bit longer, and if it's not working, then I'm going to be swapping to Pharah. Pharah is going to be really good into their comp because they don't have a direct hit scan, as well as they're going to be needing to get into close range to find value. So Pharah sort of slowing them down with our boop, as well as just pumping in a bunch of damage is going to make it really hard for them. But as we get low HP, trying to get healed up by our team, I probably should have just been a little bit safer and then end up and just drop, but I'll be greedy and take a little bit too much damage there. Yeah, the tickle monster is coming. I have my Anran ult here. I may be able to clutch this. I don't think so. Tracer and Queen walking up here. I want to provide a TP for my Kiriko. But we are able to find the kill onto the Tracer, and now we have our ultimate ability ready. I think since I'll be swapping off Anran, normally I don't get too many ultimate perks. But since we're planning on swapping, and I'm sticking for my ultimate, I'm putting a little bit more value into it through our perk. Suzu gets forced, and our Orisa goes in, but as our Orisa goes down, I think that it's going to mean that we really need to kind of clean up their team very quickly. So we're going to be popping our ultimate and trying to go for that assassination onto their backline as fast as we can to make sure that they're not able to stabilize and pump in damage over time. Junker Queen walking up. Our Orisa's not quite here yet, and their cat does scout us, unfortunately. So I'm going to be backing, finding the fire onto their Tracer, and their cat's chasing us down. And their team will be taking us out, but that is going to be okay because it'll give us the opportunity to swap. Beat coming out from our team, Kiriko TPing into our backline and going down very shortly after. Our Orisa steps into their spawn, but then falls shortly to the cat. Our team is now stuck playing against their Junker Queen, which might be a little bit difficult for us, but our cat is able to take it down. Lucio falling shortly after, and I think that we will be winning this point. My Kiriko pinging something on the right side, so I'm just going to be a little careful of that. Trying to catch out their Tracer if I can, but as I fall low HP to the cat, I want to be making sure that I'm chill and I'm trying to live the best that I can so I can get value a little bit later. Sojourn's 1 HP. I'm going to continue spamming it out a little bit, see if I can cut off the healing to this Junker Queen. We are successful in doing so, finding the kill onto the Junker Queen as well as the Kiriko shortly after, and we will be winning this fight. I think the Pharah swap's going to make this way easier than Anran. I don't think Anran's that good of a hero, nor did I think I was playing that well on her. So Pharah is just going to make us have a lot more consistent value, as well as, especially now that we're getting our perks up, it's going to make it so that we can potentially just be one-shotting a lot of these like valuable targets like that OCing Sojourn. Pharah's going to be in a really strong spot because of things like that right now, where sometimes the enemy team will be going for plays, but if you're staying alive long enough and if you're going for those sort of plays, it's going to enable you to just kind of blow up in one shot really valuable targets that you wouldn't have been able to otherwise or on other heroes. With their Jetpack Cat walking forward and their Ashe on that back main, we are able to force out their Ashe LOS. So we can just focus our shots on the Jetpack Cat. Unfortunately not able to hit a direct onto them, but we do have our barrage coming up soon, and we can be using that, probably just kind of one-shot their Zarya. Barrage is one of the ultimates that's like, it can be used to sort of like team wipe. But usually it's best to just kind of one-shot a tank most of the time. I'm a little bit scared of somebody taking this top left area, but I think that that will be not too big of a concern right now. As the rush comes out, it's going to mean that I think I could be looking for my barrage here, but I'm a little bit scared of getting one shot by their Cassidy. But we are able to find that kill. Our Kiriko goes to help us shortly after, and now I have my barrage for anyone who wants to be touching the cart, but we will just straight up not need it for this fight. And we will be winning this game. Or not game, round. I don't know why I thought we attacked already. Taking a quick look at chat here. How does my arm not fall off playing these heroes? The movement is great. I have a very low sense. I'm on 3.5, 800 DPI. So it's something to get used to for sure, especially for heroes like Tracer and Genji. I've actually been thinking about raising my sense for Tracer specifically, but it's worked for me just because I've been playing for so long and I used to play on an even lower sense. So it's just kind of like a muscle built up. Any special reason you keep pressing hello? I was wondering while watching the videos. You're kind of new to Overwatch, so not sure if that's a thing that people do. No real reason. It's just kind of like a tick. it's something, it's like a little action to sort of like spam and do, kind of like if you ever play like Valorant or something where people like to like flourish their gun, it's exactly like that for me. There's no tactical advantage whatsoever, aside from maybe like marginally helping with my in timer and keeping me a little less like I need to do something now and then like inting. Thinking about our attack here, Pharah was working. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. So even with our Winston, I think that Pharah will still be fairly solid here. They are on Cassidy, which is going to make things a little bit harder. I'm going to wait until I get healed up by our Lucio aura a bit. Our Cassidy is also going to be chilling main with me here, as we don't have that much space to work with. That's going to be fine for now, as I can just sort of spam out where their Kiriko is. Next time, I think that I'm going to be playing a little bit safer in this like really early fight, so that when my Winston goes to take aggression from the enemy team, I'll be able to get into a lot more of an aggressive position myself and actually force out some big CDs and resources. But for now, we can just be spamming down main, see whatever damage that we can do onto them for free. This is going to be very difficult for us to for them to punish us in that position. As the Kiriko's on this right side, I'm also going to be taking this right lane. Lean back a little bit here. Just seeing if I have any sort of spots that I can play that will make it hard for their team to find angles onto me and shoot me out. As I'm fairly close to my shift again, I can be looking for a little more pressure onto their backline, since I can go higher into the air. But my Winston goes down, unfortunately, which will make it so we have to back up. Cassie is pretty close. We're farming our barrage slowly but surely. I can maybe go in, I think that since we're losing the poke trade a little bit, I'm going to be going for a bit more of aggressive plays onto their team. Dragon comes out and trying to destabilize us, but as we all live, it's now going to be pretty soon to go for an aggressive play. So I'm going to be looking for it. The cat hits our Kiriko, unfortunately, which will make it kind of difficult for us here. But I'm going to see if I can take this space on the right area, which will put me in a position to actually like get onto their team decently well. As our cat steps towards me, they want to be trying to deny me from that mega, but I will be successful in evading them. Now, especially that I have my sort of like, I'm able to do damage with my concussion blast. No, there's super one. We can be going for a lot more aggressive plays because we do a lot more of a burst damage onto their team. So we can be playing a lot more of like an assassination style into their team comp, especially since their team comp wants to be playing slower. They want time for their Sigma to shoot and their Cassidy and their Hanzo to just really pump in damage over time. While Pharah is good at that, another reason why Pharah is so dominant right now is you don't necessarily have to play them in the super slow, spammy, pokey style. Even though that's what they excel at, they also can just sort of go in and assassinate like a Tracer, a Genji, or an Echo would. Winston stepping onto our Winston here, going to make it kind of difficult to play, so I'm just going to be backing up, and now our team is able to find an amazing kill onto their Cassidy. With their Kiriko TPing out, I'm going to be looking for a burst onto them, but they perfectly timed their Suzy to avoid it, and we'll be going down to our Hanzo. With our Primal Rage on the board very soon, our Soj is going to be dragged in by the cat and taken down, making it fairly hard for us, but Primal Rage popped, and we want to see if we can find any sort of value in this fight, but I think that's going to be quite hard to do so. Seeing if I can get their cat to chase me at all to potentially one-shot them with my combo. Since it was close range, I could maybe throw a melee in as well, but they will not be chasing. So we just want to be chilling. Now that we're on Ramacha, we can be playing a lot slower. Their Winston's going to be pressured to get into our space a good bit more than we're pressured to sort of walk into them. Cassidy might be on that right side, something to just sort of consider. But as they pop their Kitsune Rush and their Kitsune Rush and their Dragon, it's going to mean that we just need to really chill here. We're in a pretty rough spot, so I want to be making sure that I'm cutting out of there as soon as I can. Getting healed up by my Lucio. Cassie's on that high ground, might be worth it to just sort of jump onto them. Primal Rage pop by their Winston. Cat walks towards us, but is going to be going down to our rockets in the Kitsune Rush. And now if their Winston does anything, we can probably just one-shot them with our barrage, especially now that they don't have bubble. I think that's going to be fairly good. No jump for their Winston. I think that maybe is now the time. But I swing into their Hanzo and I'm not actually looking at the right target, so we will be going down there. Thinking about this last fight that we need to win, I'm going to be going Reaper because it's going to be very close quarters and close range. Pharah is going to struggle a little bit into their Cassie and their Winston. Their Cat all comes out, but I think that it does potentially miss. Our Sojourn has overclock very shortly, so I'm going to be protecting them a little bit and seeing if I can keep their Cat from following up, which we are successful in doing so. Overclock gets used, Winston jumps onto the point. Cat is 1 HP and will be going down shortly after, and we will be winning this game. I think the Pharah definitely did quite a bit of good there, and we were able to find a lot of value on the Pharah, but I think that maybe I was playing a little bit too passively for a lot of it, when I could have just been kind of going in there and blowing people up more. And swapping to the Reaper at the end is just kind of like a safe way to guarantee that we'd find our value when we knew that we really needed to brawl. This is when we were deciding whether or not we should barrage. But we ended up not needing to, and it was a little bit scary to try to go for it because their Cassie had that angle, but nonetheless, we will be winning that game. Awesome sauce. And that will be getting us up to Grandmaster. Woohoo! 2 rank ups today, getting our support up to Masters and our GM up to Grandmaster. I think that will be an awesome place to be. How many games of DPS have we played today? We've played 3 games of DPS. What time is it? 12 to 14? Okay. I think that we can play 1 more here. And then I will probably call it and then make sure that the videos get out today. And take a sip of water and then I'll look at chat. All right. Looking into our next game here. I'm going to be getting Nepal. I like Nepal a lot. There's a lot of heroes that can be played here. We've been leaning into... Today we've been leaning into some Genji, some Reaper, some Pharah. I'm wondering if we can try to get in a bit more of a quirky hero and maybe try to throw in like a Torbjorn. Because we haven't talked about Torbjorn yet today. And I think that they are going to be a fairly strong hero. Especially in ranked. Torb can find a lot of value and can be doing a lot of things. Going to be one of those sort of hyper generalist heroes. They can poke really well, they can brawl. They're going to be able to control and shut down lanes with their turret fairly well. But I think Torb is going to be a really good hero to sort of lean into and see if we can close out today's session. Also, thank you for the follow, QTR Nevermore. Cassidy is banned, which will enable Tracer a little bit, as well as our Doomfist. Our Doomfist is going to have a much easier time. Not playing into a Cassidy, but now us being on the Torbjorn is going to make it, I think, really good to sort of like brawl on the point. If we have the Symmetra as well, I think that that will enable us to just sort of like completely lock down a point, even if they have a bit more of a brawlier tank than our Doomfist. our close quarters combat with our Symmetra and our Torbjorn is just going to be super strong. Alright, looking at TP out, they might just TP and swap, potentially. Yes, they're going to TP and swap to Tracer. Very helpful. It's a good habit to get into if you're ever playing a higher mobility DPS, where TPing your team out and getting them into good positions early is going to be really helpful. We see the Reaper stepping onto our back line, so I just want to be poking them out the best that I can and then throwing my turret on main, looking to maybe step on this right side, helping our Tracer potentially get followed by the Lucio. I want to make sure I'm not in a position where I can be booped, but now we're going to be in a spot that can be pumping in some damage to the Reinhardt. Sierra shot comes out onto us, and we're going to be booped into the Reinhardt's range, but we're trading out the Sierra and their Reinhardt very shortly after, as that was a bit of an overextension from them. So we will be winning, or putting ourselves in a really good spot to win this point. The Reaper is still alive and might be able to clutch up, but as we find the kill onto the Reaper and the Kiriko, I think that we will be winning. So now thinking about this next fight and last one, I could be putting myself into a position where I could pump a bunch of damage into their Reinhardt shield, but I think that the more beneficial thing that I can do is just make sure that the Reaper can't really play the game that much, and putting my turret into fairly strong spots. So I'm going to be putting it up on that pillar, so if the Reinhardt walks past it, they're going to be getting chunked from behind. But the Reaper is going to take some time not flanking to just sort of shoot out our turret best they can. Our turret does go down shortly after, but we hit a nice Cheeto onto their Kiriko and force the TP and the Suzu shortly after. Our Juno is going to get hit by the Sierra, and the Reinhardt steps onto us. But with our E still available, we will be moving in a close range fight against the Reinhardt and completely shredding them. Torbjorn is just going to be one of the best tank melters like in the game. I think that people might not value Torbjorn's overload a lot, but it's going to be an insane power spike that will just let you basically like run down and like 1v1 most of the casts in the game. So our Doomfist going in main. I'm just gonna be spamming out the Reinhardt shield as we do a good bit of poke damage since we don't have any fall off on our weapon. If there's going to be a huge target like a Reinhardt shield that we can just sort of like spam into and shoot, it's going to be really good for us. As the fight's happening on this right side, I'm going to see if I can get into it in any way that I can. Our turret's going to be in a fairly good spot, but their Reaper is going to fall very low HP. I think that I might do this actually. Kiriko falling 1, and Reinhardt's behind. Oh my gosh. Why I picked the hammer perk is because I think that I'm not a big fan of ultimate perks in general, and I think that having higher mobility, especially into a comp like this where we want to be getting into better positions fairly often, is going to be really beneficial to us, because now I'm able to take the space on left side much quicker than I would have previously, and now I'm able to get active on our Juno Ray and potentially find a kill onto this Reaper or poke out this Reinhardt from a different angle. And if they walk us down here, then it's still going to be fairly safe for us as we have our speed boost to try to disengage if we need to. So I think the mobility alone was going to enable us to sort of just lane and control space that's not on top of our team as much. But the Reaper is going to be taking us down. I did not hear them sort of walk up onto me. But as the Reinhardt's 1 HP, the most of their team is 1 HP. They find a nice pin onto our Doomfist, but unfortunately, we are not going to be able to recover from it. We have our Molten Core still, and I think that it would have been very fine to pop it on that left lane as their Lucio and Reaper walked towards us. But I think that me being a little bit too greedy with it, wanting to use it on point, is going to be the downfall of us there. So I think I hear the Reaper top left. And we will be going down to it. I figured that I'd be able to win that 1v1, but I just missed too many shots. I'm not even able to get any Molten Core value. But we are able to find the kill onto Lucio. I want to be trying to get back into the fight as fast as I can and potentially just throwing my ult on the point to get any sort of value that I can. The Sierra is going to be taking down our turret, but as we have our overload, I can be looking for another early play onto it. Our Kiriko heals us up a decent bit. Shatter comes out onto our Doomfist. Reaper gets 1 HP, but we are able to find the kill onto the Sierra. Reinhardt's super duper duper 1, so I'm just walking past their shield, trying to get onto them. Our overload is ready again. I think I'm going to be getting the level 3 turret just because it will make it so that they are going to have a much harder time dealing with our turret, and we will be winning this point. I think that I messed up quite a bit there. I wasn't playing the best possible. If I was a little bit safer on that left lane, or if I was just chilling main, I think that we definitely would have been in a much better spot. But I think that we were still able to find the value that we really needed to find, especially once we got back in. We got our Molten Core on the point. We found the kill onto their Sierra in that brawl. I think that we'll be taking this point back. I think Torbjorn is just really strong. I'm a little bit worried about this point. I was hoping that we would get the Sanctuary next, which would really enable our level 3 turret. But unfortunately, with this more open space, they're going to have a few more options to actually deal with our turret whenever we use it. So now they are on Roadhog. I'm going to be just trying to spam out their backline to enable my shooters to shoot as much as they want. Sierra goes 1 HP and we are able to find that kill. Roadhog finding the hook onto us, but we're saved by our Doomfist with the punch. Very wonderful. Putting my turret down and popping my whole hog. Or not whole hog, my overload. Which will enable us to pump in a lot more damage, as well as our turret to take a lot more hits. Basically taking it out as a target that the enemy team can play to shoot. Since they will be having a lot more HP. What happened to me? What did I get booped by? Oh, it was just a Lucio with the boop perk. Okay. But thinking about this next point here, our team is rotating towards this right side. I'm going to be seeing if I can kill this Reaper. Why make sure, after I'm missing a lot of my M1s, I just switch to my M2s, even though it's a little bit less DPS at that range. Just having some sort of consistent damage and putting a timer on the Reaper in general is going to be more value than going for the gamble and then risking a lot of potential value. So now our tank is going to be swapping to Orisa to try and deal with the Roadhog a little bit easier. The Reaper's getting a lot of value onto our team, so I think that maybe I can be pushing my turret into spots that's going to care our team a little bit better. I think I hear Roadhog bottom right, which is something I want to consider. Popping my overload as I'm scared of their Death Blossom. Our turret's going to be just pumping in some damage. I'm going to be rotating away from their Reaper as I want to stabilize to make sure that I'm out of their effective range, make sure that their shotguns do a little bit less damage. So I'm cutting towards their spawn room, since I know it's safer. Keeping my overload as I walk forward towards the Reaper, since I know that it's going to be very, very dangerous for me to walk into their space and into their effective range without the extra HP that I would get from my overload, since they have their Death Blossom. So now that the Roadhog is walking back, they're trying to break my turret. And we have 4 ultimates on the board ready to try and keep this point. Forcing Suzu early is going to be really, really nice for us. I'm just going to be pumping in some damage to their team. As the Reaper gets onto me, I will be going down. I'm always surprised by like how far away a Reaper can be than how much damage it actually does. I always feel like I get out of the effective range and then I just still take so much damage. That's going to be my bad on the judgment. I could have backed up a lot sooner, or I could have been trying to live a bit easier, but that 1v1 is going to be very hard for us to take, so I'm going to be trying to avoid it a little bit more and playing a lot more for our poke value. Our Roadhog hook comes out, and their Sierra is going to be chilling main. See our ultimate use onto our Orisa. Orisa's popping their ultimate. Seeing if they can live. I'm going to be throwing down my turret and then trying to blow up the people remaining on the point. We are able to find the kill onto the Reaper. And as well as the Kiriko, just by spamming now. Since we have the point contested and we don't necessarily need to be doing all that much, we can just be throwing our Cheetos kind of at their main area, seeing if we can find any kills through the big clump of players gathered at that back stable side, and we will be winning this game. Awesome. Ending 20-7. I think that we definitely could have played a lot better, especially in that first round, but I think that the second one we adjusted quite well, playing a little bit more for our distance against the Reaper, not trying to take the 1v1 as much, but still a little bit too much for my personal liking. But in any way, we will be winning that game and getting ourselves a bit more solidified into GM5. Ending GM5, 43%, getting our winning trend back on our DPS, going completely undefeated today in both our support and our DPS games, which will be awesome. So, I think with all that said, for my video audience, from the people watching the video or the recording of this, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye bye.